who you are and how my audience can find you.
Yeah. So my name is Becca Briggs. I am a creative life coach currently based out of Oregon. And I help my clients to reignite their passion and excitement for life and get in tune with their authentic, unique purpose that they're here to fulfill. You can find me on all social media platforms at the Becca Briggs, and my website is beccabriggs.com.
Perfect. So why don't we start from the very beginning? Because I always like to hear how people get started in their journey, like how I started mine, and let's get into how you started yours. So, how did you get involved in this from the beginning?
Yeah, so I feel like it was just meant to be, honestly. Like I've always been into personal growth ever since I was a child. I was like read all the chicken soup books when I was a kid and teenager. And it kind of was this slow growing process where I started by learning about Myers-Briggs in college. And at the time, I would say was a really low point in my life where I was very depressed. I was in an abusive relationship. I didn't know who I was or what I wanted. And I'd grown up with a family who told me who I was supposed to be and what I was supposed to do. And so when I was trying to figure it out for myself, I just felt very lost and like I didn't fit in and that anything I wanted in life was wrong or bad or shamed. And it just felt like an uphill battle. So I started with learning about Myers-Briggs and realizing the different components that resonate with me of, oh, okay, this is why I like these things. This is why I think this way or I feel this way about certain things. That is not me being wrong or bad. It's me being different from the people I was around. After that, I learned about the Enneagram and had a very similar experience and dove in there and would just kind of use this knowledge to help people in my life. When the pandemic hit, I got laid off from the job that I had and did some soul searching of, okay, what do I actually really want for myself? And especially for myself in terms of a career path. What is my purpose here? Because I was tired of working just side end jobs, making ends meet that weren't fulfilling. And all signs just pointed to coaching was like, you're already doing this, you're already helping people, and you already have these tools and resources. So dive in. And here I am 3 years later doing that.
I know for me, when I first started on this journey, it was similar to you where something was happening. I was trying to figure out, and I was just like, Terrain, your life is upside down right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you have these group of people telling you what to do. You have yourself saying that I don't necessarily want to do that. Then you have people over here saying that, yeah, you don't listen to them, listen to us. And everyone is pulling at you. And you're just like, what is it that I want to do? What's going to make me happy instead of me trying to make everyone else happy by being
Mm-hmm.
who they want me to be? And then I started reading books, and I was reading books all the time. I would sit down, read books. And then online, I started reading, but I started reading like all these crime books. And then I was like,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like painting my own reality. And sometimes I would get lost in it, right? Like I thought I was Harry Potter for a minute. And
Yeah, I think we all
you're
did.
trying, I think we all did, right? You're trying to figure it out. And then I was like, hey, how about if I find myself in helping others? And then that made sense to me. For you
Mm-hmm.
now, when you're going through your relationship that wasn't working out, when you're listening to all these people trying to pull you different ways, did you reach a point in your life when you started reading these books, going through these things in college, and you're like, okay, this is the Becca I need to be, and then you started working towards that version of yourself?
Yeah, so that is one thing that, in growth and healing was while I was in this relationship and leaving the relationship was, I was doing therapy for a while. I was on medication. I was reading all the self-help books. I was going to yoga classes and meditating. And for it just like nothing felt like it really helped. It was still I still felt like there was kind of this persona happening, or I was checking all the boxes, but it wasn't really landing. And so especially with the coaching style that I do, is integrating some of these kind of archetype systems, but not to put people in a box of what the archetypes are, but to say, okay, let's bring you back to the core of who you are, the energy you put out, what you're here to do. Identifying what those patterns are that you tend to cling to in unhealthiness so that we can break those walls down. I think of it as almost if we were crystals encased in dirt. We got to break those layers of dirt off to expose you that's been buried under all these beliefs, all these pressures, all these expectations, all these personas that you've kept, all the emotions that you've repressed and pushed down that ever just encased you. Let's break that open. And I find that using these tools like human design, Enneagram, Myers-Briggs can help communicate to people in a way that brings them back to themselves. It's not telling you who you have to be. It's opening up, this is how you're already functioning. So let's lean into that. Let's lean into naturally what works best for you and what you thrive in, instead of you trying to focus over here on everything everyone's telling you you need to be doing and focusing on.
How difficult is that for the clients you deal with, especially when many of those layers are from society, from culture, and ultimately from their family, which has a strong hold on them?
Yeah, it can be really difficult. And I think one of the things I like to reiterate a lot is that growth and healing is not linear. It's not a one and done. It's not the goal and then you're there and then everything's just good forever. Like there's always going to be some stuff that comes up and there's going to be these areas that you heal from that might pop back up later. And you're like, wait a second, I thought I healed from that. It's not about perfection and mastering all of this. It's about learning how to work with yourself when those things come up. And as long as you keep an open mind, and some flexibility, that when those pressures come back, or when the trauma resurfaces, or when you have these expectations put on you and you end up finding yourself in these same patterns and habits you were before, that you can navigate through it way more easily and not feel so weighed down by your circumstances or what these beliefs are.
What are some of the ways that you help them navigate through those beliefs and make sure that, one, the beliefs are not getting in their way, and ultimately we are not getting in the way of ourselves?
Yeah. So I would say, I talk about three ways that we hold ourselves back. I guess I've already kind of talked about one of them. One of them is that we're unaware of what is for us versus what others are telling us to do. So knowing what is ours and what is for us is key. The second one is doing the subconscious work. So a lot of times in traditional coaching and therapy and even with the self-help books and workbooks and everything else, is, you're being asked conscious questions and you can identify, oh, this is what I want. This is what I don't want. These are the changes I know I need to make. But if your subconscious isn't on the same page with your conscious mind, then it's almost like you're fighting this uphill battle against yourself if you have these deep-rooted feelings and beliefs of what you're worthy of or what's possible for you, that can be holding you back. So I use a lot of NLP related coaching modalities to really be able to talk to both the conscious and subconscious mind so that you're working with yourself to get the results that you want.
For me, when I work with the clients that I have, because well, I shouldn't say most, that's a lie. All of them are women that I work with, and many of them are older and they've been there, done that, meaning that they've been in marriages and marriages has not worked out, long-term relationships and so on. And one thing that I like to do is I ask them this simple question: what do you want? And then they'll tell me, Becca, they'll say that I want this. And then I'll ask them a follow-up question is, why do you want that? Mm-hmm. And then you can sometimes pinpoint that the reason why they want something goes back to, well, I want a family because growing up, I didn't have one. Mm-hmm. I want a successful marriage because growing up, I didn't see one.
Mm-hmm.
I want to help others because when I was in a time of need, there wasn't someone there to help me. So you begin to realize that they pinpointed back to something else. But I think what truly needs to happen, and even I'm working on this as well, is that once you identify what you want, it's okay if it's a little selfish. For example, I want to have the most successful podcast and show in the world. And the reason why I want that is because I want my name in light. So every time people see, they know that I'm here to help people. It sounds a little selfish, but there's something beneath it as well, because it's your way of helping people. But as soon as they see your name, Becca Briggs, they feel better because they know what's behind your brand. And your brand is, I help you realize what's keeping you stuck. I get you to feel better, and I'm using different tools to do that.
Mm-hmm.
When you're helping your clients now and you're digging deep beneath the surface and you're helping them identify, are there commonalities that are preventing them from realizing their true potential? And if so, how do you help them with that?
Yeah, I would say the top, like maybe top two ways that I see this people being held back in this way. One of them is going to be people pleasing for sure. And that kind of goes back to a lot of times we grow up with being told who we need to be, with these expectations of what success looks like, what happiness looks like, and what you want. And that's something that with all the clients that I've worked with is usually when we start working together, they come in, they say, this is what I want. And usually about halfway through my one-on-one program is they realize, oh, I actually didn't want that. I thought I did, but this is actually what I want instead. And through the work together is we bring that to light without, I'm not psychoanalyzing you going through it. We're not doing, you figure it out on your own. And it's this light bulb moment where then everything changes. I would say the other area that people get held back a lot from is I guess I'll put this together, is like either being blocked or burnt out, especially creatively. And I think a lot of that kind of comes from comparisons with others and these expectations we have, especially in a creative way. Like I work with a lot of creative freelancers, and these expectations and social media and how's your marketing, how's your sales, what are you doing, are you keeping up with all these other people who are doing something similar to you, and thinking of new ideas all the time in a very fast-paced society. It's very easy to get off the path of what brought you there originally. Where do you feel lit up? Where is the passion coming from? And not get so caught up on the little details of what we expect we have to have within that.
For those who are following along on Facebook, YouTube, and my social media websites, please subscribe, follow, and share for more incredible interviews like with my new best friend with big smiles, Becca, and we will be back for more. So stay tuned.